What is something debunked as propaganda that is still widely believed? That propaganda is necessarily misleading or false. Propaganda is simply a method of directional persuasion. Can it be false or misleading? Without question. But it can also simultaneously be factually unimpeachable and rhetorically suggestive. That the 9/11 hijackers were sponsored by Iraq. In reality, 15 of the 19 hijackers were citizens of Saudi Arabia and 11 of them received large amounts of money from members of the Saudi royal family shortly before the attack. In 2016, the Obama administration, under pressure from the families of the 9/11 victims, tried to investigate Saudi Arabia. In response to the JASTA Act, Saudi Arabia threatened to sell $750 billion worth of American assets they own. This would destabilize the dollar. The 9/11 Commission's final report stated that it found no evidence that the Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded al-Qaeda. This conclusion does not exclude the likelihood that charities with significant Saudi government sponsorship diverted funds to al-Qaeda. Catherine the Great dying from fucking a horse. Lie detector tests. They are easily rigged straight up false most of the time and were outlawed from being used in court as evidence back in the 70s. I'd cry when YouTubers or shitty reality TV shows use them. Many people treat their answers as factual. They aren't. Edit spelling. Liebeck v. McDonald's restaurants, also known as the McDonald's coffee case. In case you never heard of it, a woman sued McDonald's because the coffee was too hot and caused injury when she spilled some on herself by accident. McDonald's spent millions on smear campaigns trying to make her look like some sort of idiotic buffoon who filed a frivolous suit. Tons of corporate influence was applied in the media to villainize her. Ask most people, they think she lost and McDonald's won. Only that's not what happened. The coffee was between 181.90 F88C, far higher than safe temperature and far higher than competition. She suffered major third-degree burns resulting in an 8-day stay in the hospital and skin grafts. A jury awarded her $200,000 in medical injuries and $2.7 million in punitive damages against McDonald's, later reduced by the trial judge. The parties settled without disclosure out of court during appeal. Basically, McDonald's was completely in the wrong and scalded this woman, and the court found them liable, but smear campaigns made her look like a moron and losing party. And that Napoleon was short. That cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. Science nerd Donald Unger cracked the knuckles on his left hand only for 50 years, no arthritis. Suck it, Nana. That plastics are easily recyclable, and that MSG is bad for you. The food pyramid. Compare the widely available food pyramid and the one published by Harvard. The rampant tampering of Halloween candy. Is it weird that I still believe that rumor we all spread in middle school that Marilyn Manson had 2 ribs removed so he could suck his own dick? Butter helps a burn. That MSG is bad for you. Op asked about propaganda and everyone is dumping Snopes articles. I'd say the whole Iraq had a hand in 9/11 and also had weapons of mass destruction was recent large-scale propaganda that was debunked. If memory serves me right, something like 70 of people were convinced that Saddam Hussein and his regime had a direct hand in the 9/11 attacks. Post-war analysis and historians note that none of this was really true. Carrots improve eyesight. Well, this blew up. So to address the comments I keep getting, the myth is carrots improving eyesight, mainly that eating enough gave RAF pilots night vision. Not carrots being good for your eyes. Carrots contain multiple vitamins that are beneficial, but bearing a deficiency they won't help you see better. That diamonds are rare and expensive to obtain. That drug dealers are putting drugs in trick-or-treat candy. Misread propaganda as horseshit. Sorry about that. I wouldn't call it propaganda, unless parents invented the lie to get children to leave spiders alone, in which case, well played. But there's a common myth that daddy long-leg spiders are incredibly venomous, but they can't bite humans because their fangs are too small. The reality is that they can bite people, but their bite isn't particularly dangerous at all. It's comparable to an ant bite. That injury attorneys are bad. In reality, without injury attorneys, corporations would go around doing whatever they wanted with no incentive to make consumers safer because they would have no consequences. Insurance companies would have no reason to actually pay out claims. Personal injury is a necessary and noble profession that truly helps the little guy stand up to big pharma, the government, big insurance and big corporations. That the McDonald's hot coffee lady was an unreasonable asshole. Edit. I've now muted because holy shit, if you're the kind of person who can go read what actually happened and still decide to side with giant multinational corporation which has also lied about a whole host of other things including the monopoly shit and also feeding us pink slime over the little old lady that they melted, then you don't have the IQ or the empathy for me to want to interact with you. My God. I hope the next time each of you does something moderately dumb like spilling your drink, you're met with excruciating, life-altering negative consequences, since y'all wanna keep trying to blame her. That swimming within 30 minutes of eating will cause cramps. That eating fat makes you fat or is bad for you. Propaganda probably isn't the correct term, but the idea that sugar makes kids go crazy came from one study that has been disproved a few hundred times. The placebo effect though, that shit is real. That vaccines causes autism. Fuck Andrew Wakefield, he should have been jailed for his fraudulent study. Sorts comments by controversial. That a majority of people imprisoned in the US are violent offenders. It doesn't even constitute 10. You need a big diamond to propose. That penis inspection days at school were mandatory and you get expelled if you didn't go. You swallow 8 spiders a year. You will go blind from sitting too close to the TV. It takes 7 years to digest gum. Alligators live in the sewers of NYC. Edit. I know these are urban legends, but I couldn't think of any actual propaganda that wasn't already mentioned. If you look through the other comments, you can have a proper propaganda gander. Your carbon footprint. BP campaigned to popularize the idea of your personal carbon footprint to get people's attention off the oil industry's contributions to climate change and focus on their own. These companies are destroying the world, but many are still too focused on what individuals should do compared to the larger issue. Edit. It's still important to not be defeatist and do what you can as an individual, but solving climate change is not as simple as using paper straws, as some companies would want you to believe. Greater systemic changes need to happen to affect climate change in a meaningful way. The fucking litter boxes in school bathrooms. That milk is necessary for bone health. You do need calcium to keep your bones from becoming weak and brittle, but calcium from milk is actually poorly absorbed by the digestive system, so you're just shitting most of it out, especially if you're lactose intolerant. Lol. Broccoli, leafy green vegetables, figs, beans, and almonds are much better sources of calcium as well as other essential nutrients. That video games cause violence. That nobody wants to work. That the Holocaust was a hoax. There are tons of pictures and video taken by US soldiers who liberated camps that disprove this quite easily. MSG. That black cats are evil or bad luck. Even to this day, they are the last to be adopted at shelters. And at this time of year, they are especially in danger of being hurt or killed or sacrificed. Broken heart. That Africa is just a giant desert with no water and food, and lions roaming in people's backyards. It's just said to get people to donate to charities where the money rarely goes to actually help those in need. That whole alpha male hierarchy thing, both in wolves and in people. I don't know if that counts as propaganda, but there are certainly a lot of influencers that make their livelihoods propagating that notion to adolescent boys. That autism is caused by vaccines. Fuck Jenny McCarthy. That there is no war in bossing, say. Trickle-down economics. That anything GMO, genetically modified organism, is bad for you. Humans have been genetically modifying animals and produce for well over 10,000 years. The reason have such a variety of foods is due to genetic modification. Many fruits almost went extinct but didn't because we bred stronger and more resistant plants by keeping the traits we wanted and not breeding the traits we didn't want. The reason cows and sheep produce so much now is because of this selective breeding, which is genetic modification. That nuclear power plants are unsafe and dangerous.
I hope you all are doing well, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed this video. If you have something to say critically or otherwise, leave a comment. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to see more of it. I hope you all have wonderful and fulfilled lives.